episode number 59. This episode is brought to you by our Career Kickstart coaching program, where we help ambitious working mums who are feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or frustrated to take the best next step in their careers. Making the right career move can be hard enough. And when you add motherhood into the mix, well, things can get really complicated. So through our program, we can help you to ditch the frustration and the overwhelm and get to a place where you are loving your work and life. So if this sounds good to you, then head over to our website at lightboxcoaching.com to find out more information. Hi, you're listening to the Careers Beyond Motherhood podcast with your host, Janine Esbrand. I'm here to help working mums like you to thrive in your careers and in motherhood. I share tips, strategies, and inspirational conversations with awesome women to help reduce the struggle in your juggle.
Time for a say, Mummy.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It is great to be back with you again today. I cannot believe that it's April. This past month has gone by so quickly. The last time we spoke, I was sharing the episode for International Women's Day, where I spoke to a number of awesome leaders, women leaders, who were talking about working motherhood and women in leadership positions. It was just such a great roundup episode, and we've had some brilliant feedback. So if you haven't checked that out, do head back to episode 58 and have a listen. So on to today, I am going to be sharing with you on a topic that I think is going to be very useful if you are at a crossroads, or if you are feeling like you're not quite sure what the next step should be for your career. Then you might find some inspiration in today's episode. I'm going to be talking about why I quit my role as part-time legal counsel for an international oil company recently. Okay, so for those of you that don't know me, and are new to the podcast or new to me, I'm going to give you a bit of my backstory so that you have some context for what I'm going to share with you today. So I am a certified coach. I help women who are looking to thrive in their careers beyond motherhood, who are trying to figure out what the best next step is for their careers after starting a family. I am also a lawyer. I trained and qualified just over 7 years ago, and I am the mother of 2 gorgeous babies. One is almost 4 and the other is almost 2. Crazy, can't believe how time flies. And I am the wife to a gorgeous husband. Okay, so that's where I am now, but I'm going to rewind to 2015, where the story really began. So back in 2015, I was working as a corporate lawyer, doing pretty long hours. I was pregnant with my son, and I figured that I would go on maternity leave and probably come back to work and perhaps get a nanny or someone to look after my son on a full-time basis and continue on in my legal career. That's what I thought at the time. I wasn't 100% sure on that, but that's pretty much what I thought might happen. And then I went on maternity leave and had my son, and literally my whole life changed, as you all know, because you're likely to be a mother if you're listening to this podcast. Everything changes when you have a child. Your perspective completely shifts, and all of a sudden I had this little gorgeous bundle of just cuteness who just stole my heart. I literally felt like my heart was operating outside of me. I was like, if anything happened to him, I would die. And so my perspective on work really changed, and I thought, I don't know that I want to go back to working how I was working before. I was doing pretty long hours, sometimes working through the night. As a corporate lawyer, when you're working on transactions, it means that you're all in and you're having to work really long hours to get things done and completed and over the line. And so for me, I figured I didn't want to miss out on bedtime. I didn't want to not see him for days on end. That just wasn't fitting well with how I wanted to show up and be present for him, especially as he was, in the early stages of his life. So I had some hard decisions to make. I had to go back and forth and kind of took myself through the coaching process that I take my clients through, and decided that I was going to leave my corporate role, but I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I just knew that I didn't want to do that. I knew that I didn't want to be working those long hours and miss out on my son. So what ended up happening is that one of the clients that I had been working with just before going on maternity leave, they were looking for some legal support on a part-time basis. And so one of the partners at my law firm suggested that I speak to them when I told him that I was not going to be returning after maternity leave. And I spoke to them, and it turned out that it was a good fit and that I could go and work for them on a much more flexible basis. So I went to work for them as a consultant lawyer and have been doing that for the last few years. And alongside this, I've been growing my coaching practice. So I've been working with clients on a one-to-one basis, and then also ladies within my membership community, and have started working with some corporate clients. So I always say to people that I have a portfolio career where I get to combine my passion for coaching and my love for the law. So that's all been working quite well. I must say that it isn't always easy to manage the scheduling of everything, given that there's so much going on. But what happened in January is that the company that I work for decided that they wanted to make some changes in terms of the structure and where certain people in different departments were. So they had an office based in Surrey, close to where I live, and then another office based in London. And they decided that they wanted the legal function to be working out of the London office as much as possible. And so that caused a bit of a stir in my life, because before, my commute to their office was 40 minutes at most, and now travelling to the London office, the commute is anywhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours. And so that is a big, big change in my day and my schedule on the days that I do travelling to the office. And so it really impacted everything. So the time I got to spend with the children in the morning, the time that I got to spend with them in the evening. So sometimes I'd get home and they'd already be in bed, which for me was a huge bummer, because I've always wanted to be home in the evening to see them and catch up on their day. Something that's been really, really important to me. And one of my core values is family and quality time with family. So that's been a real challenge. And then it caused me to just take a step back and look at where I was. One of my colleagues actually mentioned to me that he noticed a change in me since moving to London, and the fact that I wasn't my usual happy and bubbly self, and that I seemed to be a little bit distant and a little down. And the fact that he noticed that, given that he's just a colleague that I see a few times a week, made me think, wow, I'm clearly showing on the outside what I'm feeling on the inside. And so I started to think about, well, what is it that I want to do? And I have a career fulfillment framework that I use with my clients that has 4 main stages. And the first of those is vision, and the second of those is values. And so I went back and looked at that for myself and said, what is my vision for my career going forward, and assessed whether or not what I'm doing now is aligned with that vision, and decided that it probably isn't, or it isn't. Looking at the type of legal work that I was doing and the client that I was working for, and what I wanted to be doing in the long term in terms of my business growth, and also the type of legal support I wanted to be offering, it wasn't matching up. I decided that what I really do enjoy is helping other businesses to make sure that they have their legal stuff in order to make sure that they are able to grow or able to achieve their business objectives. So when I'm working with those types of clients, I get the most excited. And so I figured that I should focus on finding legal work that would allow me to do that. And then also I'm growing my coaching business. And so I need more flexibility around my time to accommodate the clients that I'm working with on the coaching side. And so I thought about that, the vision. And then I looked at my values and said, well, if being home every evening with my children is really important, and if I want to maintain what I have so far with my career, that family comes first, then this isn't working. Traveling up to 4 hours a day on the trains and the tube just isn't working for me and my family. And so having considered those 2 core areas, the values and the vision, I realized that this isn't a good fit for me anymore, and I made the decision to leave. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy to make that decision. I say that I went through those steps and then made a decision as though it was just a quick process, but it wasn't. I did take some time to go back and forth and decide whether this was the right thing to do. But here's the thing, once I decided that I was going to leave, then I was able to go into looking for what my next step would be in a much more focused manner. So I had my filters, I had the framework that I needed to work through to make sure that the next role that I'm moving to ticks the right boxes. So I knew that I needed to go into something that was going to be aligned with my vision. And then I also needed to make sure that I can maintain my values. So it made it easy for me to do that job search. I was looking at roles and connecting with people and networking and looking at opportunities, but always through that filter. So what ended up happening is I found a role which is ideal, really works for this season of life. So I'm going to be working as a legal consultant, and I'm working with an awesome company that primarily has clients who are businesses either in the startup phase or are looking to grow and scale. So I'm going to be doing the type of legal work that I really enjoy. So I'm super excited to get started with that. And then I'm also able to work remotely. So as I can work from home, it means that I have completely cut out the commute, which gives me more time in my day, at the beginning of my day or at the end of my day, where I can focus on my business growth and business tasks. So things are going to work really well going forward. And I'm glad that I took the step to hand in my notice, even though it wasn't easy, because the role is no longer serving me in terms of this phase of life or where I'm heading in my career. And the interesting thing is this role was the solution when I was at a crossroads with my career straight after having my son. And now things have moved on and things have changed. And so I'm looking at the next phase. So I just want to encourage you that you don't have to feel stuck where you are. You don't have to feel like you made a decision to join a company or to start a new role in a completely different sector and that now you're stuck doing that. You can always make a change. You can always use the experience that you've gained and you've developed over time and use it in whatever you're going to do. So nothing is ever wasted. So it's absolutely possible for you to move into something that is more fulfilling, something that is more aligned with where you want to head in your life and your career. And if you are not quite sure how to figure out what your vision is, or you don't really know what your values are, I want to invite you to check out my new career kickstart guide. There are 4 parts to the career fulfillment framework. And on this episode, I spoke about 2, the vision and the values, but there are 2 more that you need to go through to make sure that you are getting into a role that is going to be fulfilling and that you're really going to enjoy. So you can grab my career kickstart guide that will walk you through the whole process and help you to start making the right steps towards career fulfillment today. So head over to lightboxcoaching.com/kickstart and you can download that guide. I hope you found that useful. And if you have a friend, a colleague, a family member who is feeling stuck in their career right now, then share this episode with them. And speaking of sharing, if you are on Instagram, I would love for you to do a screenshot of you listening to this episode and tag me and share it on Instagram. Instagram is like my new place that I enjoy hanging out on social media. I love LinkedIn. So if you are on LinkedIn, connect with me there. But if you're on Instagram, it would be great to see you sharing this episode over there. I'm also going to be showing up on Instagram stories a lot more, sharing the behind the scenes of life as a working mum who has a portfolio career, building my business, working as a lawyer and all that jazz. So if you'd like to check that out, make sure you follow us at Careers Beyond Motherhood. So that's all from me today. I look forward to connecting with you again in the next episode. Until then, look after you and look after your babies. This podcast features music from Sound.